To a discussion segment, CBN Governor Olayemi So last week hosted the Monetary Policy Forum 2025 featuring fiscal authorities, legislative, private sector development partners on how best to manage this inflation process in the country. Now to speak on how to curb inflation and achieve a stabilized economy for Nigeria, we have Oluwagbijami Samuel from SPM Professionals. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm happy
Okay.
to be here.
Okay, beautiful. Well, so far, I don't know whether you've been following development. So far, we've seen Central Bank of Nigeria put in the necessary measures to see how they can actually address inflation for time being now. But so far, we are yet to actually see the kind of price stability that we all desire. And at this point, what would you say can be actually added to the measures put in place so far to address inflation?
All right, thank you very much, sir. First and foremost, I believe we in Nigeria, the policies made by the CBN is not taking into account the cost of inflation itself. What do I mean? The Nigerian inflation is driven mostly by lack of production, in the sense that demand is higher than production. So CBN is attacking monetary policy, using monetary policy measures to drive down inflation, whereas we should be looking towards production side, which will help us to increase supply in the market. And from increasing supply, we can then push towards driving down cost of goods and services in the market.
Okay, how critical is the agricultural sector towards actually addressing the issue of most especially food production?
All right, thank you very much. I believe currently we know what is happening in Nigeria, especially in the region that is producing food in Nigeria. That's the northern part of Nigeria. Currently, we have we have a high disorder in that part of Nigeria, in the sense that insecurity is very, very high. Farmers can no longer go to their farm like they used to do. And when things like this happen, it has a long way to go on the economy, in the sense that it's reduced productivities of our farmers. And when productivity has gone down, what happened is that the level of production in the country go down as well. And when this happens, we would definitely see what we are seeing in Nigeria currently, which is low supply, which then results to high cost of goods and services. By the way, aside this, the farmers are also experiencing high cost of transporting goods from their region to other part of Nigeria due to recent policies, fuel subsidy and the likes.
So with the reforms put in place by the federal government, how important these actual reforms towards actually addressing the issue of food supply, and in fact addressing the issue of energy costs in transporting these goods?
All right.
I don't know whether you're actually familiar with the reforms, the agricultural reforms put in place by the federal government.
I know the Nigerian government currently is trying its best to drive production. Recently, in the 2025 budget, the government has decided to divide the agriculture into two, where we have livestock ministry as well as agriculture ministry. Livestock ministry to drive livestock farm produce, so as to focus on developing the sector as a, and really the sector has a lot to play in Nigeria economy. Checking the beverages producing industry, such as Friesland and the likes, and they play a major role in driving the economy of Nigeria. So I'm aware that Nigerian government is trying their best as much as possible to increase productivity in the agricultural sector. But before we can increase productivity in the agricultural sector, I strongly believe we need to address the issue of insecurity in that region, because farmers need to trust the government that when they go to their farmland, their lives can be secured before they can put in their best to farm. Even investors in agricultural sector. Investors need to know that, need to be assured that when they invest their funds in agricultural sector, it's a state where investors are scared of putting their funds into the market because of uncertainties that is available.
Okay, you talked about the issue of security in our farms. And the federal government in 2025 budget have allocated quite a huge chunk to the security sector. How important is that towards actually addressing this issue? Because we are talking about around 4 trillion to defense.
Thank you very much. I strongly applaud the Nigerian government for what they are doing currently in the security sector. We've seen news about how Nigerian military forces have been driving out bandits across the northern east of Nigeria. But more still needs to be done, and that is, it shows from the government that we are really moving towards the right path. By the end of the first quarter, we will know where we are going concerning insecurity in Nigeria. But with the chunk of funds invested in security sector, we can be rest assured that there will be a change in that particular aspect of Nigeria.
So what do you think the CBN should do? We are talking about the next monetary policy committee meeting. They will definitely be meeting at the end of the month. What should people expect? What do you think people should expect from the meeting?
All right, thank you very much. I strongly also believe that a CBN can drive production in two ways: through increasing the credit facilities we have in Nigeria for SMEs and big, what's it called, players in the Nigerian manufacturing sector.
But
That's
the problem is the high interest rate. What about the high interest rate? You know, we are talking about a very high interest rate. So if they advance this credit, who pays the huge interest rate?
All right. As concerning the interest rate, I strongly believe, and that's what that is the part that's what I was talking about the other time when I said the CBN has a lot to play in production in Nigeria. Through the CBN's was authority in the fiscal policy affair, the CBN can drive down the chunk of interest rates we have in the banking sector, and when that is driven down, investors and SME players can borrow more and use it and invest in their businesses. This way, especially farmers, this way they can drive their own production, and from driving their production, they can spread. We can have a larger supply in the food markets.
But don't you think that will affect the cost of producing food or output of that particular SME?
Like I said earlier on, it will have impact on them, but it will have less. The impact on them will not be as
depending
much.
on the output they are producing. Is that what you're saying?
Come again, sir?
It depended on the output they are producing.
Exactly.
So if they are producing much, then definitely they will see how they can,
yes,
cover for such high interest rates.
Yes.
But, well, in terms of tightening, do you see them tightening at the end of, the first monetary policy committee meeting? Do you see them tightening further, or do you see them loosening somehow?
I foresee them tightening because the agenda of the federal government at the end of the year through the budget policy is to drive down inflation to 15%.
But do you see that, even at that, do you see the possibility of actually achieving that this year, 2025?
If I will be realistic with you, I do not see that coming to pass. We've seen it over the years when the government propose a certain, project a certain figure in the inflation, what's it called, affairs, and most of the time we go overboard by 30%. I see more of it. In fact, the current inflation rate, I see it going, even though it will be stabilized in the long run, in the long run in the year, I still see it not going lesser than 28, 27%.
Okay. So now, talking about the coming together of various stakeholders, like we saw when they had the monetary policy committee stakeholders engagement. How much involvement do you see? How much involvement would you like to see stakeholders both at the fiscal and the monetary side, as well as every other stakeholder in somehow achieving disinflation?
If I, if I may get you, stakeholders, you mean SME players
I
and the likes?
mean, both the fiscal authority,
Okay.
monetary authority, and other stakeholders, because at the gathering there were a lot of stakeholders that came and they were proffering solutions towards how to actually achieve disinflation.
Okay. So
So
I,
how much involvement would you like to see them, come together and address, inflation and stabilize the economy?
all right. Thank you very much. I would love to see the side of SMEs, because they are major drivers of the economy, to be largely involved in the fiscal policy and the monetary policy decisions, rather than just having the big players in the market of Nigeria, the big industries, dictating the pace. I would like to see more of SMEs that drive the economy to be called into the table, or to be called to the table. I would like to see them, involving them in decisions concerning Nigeria monetary policy and fiscal policy.
Thank you very much, Oluwagbijami Samuel. It's a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much.